Good morning. The Pardon Board is convening now at Raymond LaBourd Correctional Center on Monday, February 13th, 2023, at 9:30 a.m. Good morning. Would the staff at Raymond LaBourd introduce yourself for the record, please?
Good morning, Deputy Warden Keith Turner.
Raven Heath classification.
Those are born on record.
Okay, good morning. And we have one case there at your facility. Mr. Wilson, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name, your DOC number, please.
I'm Larry Wilson. My DOC number is 124287.
All right, Mr. Wilson, you're here this morning before the Pardon Board seeking the commutation of sentence. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge that we have your cousin, Mr. John Phelps, here with us this morning by Zoom, who wants to speak on your behalf. Also joining by Zoom, observing this morning, is your brother, Michael Wilson. So first, I'll just read some identifying information into the record, Mr. Wilson, and then we'll conduct the interview with you. We'll hear from the ward. We'll hear from your cousin. And at the end, before we vote, you'll be allowed to make a statement if you'd like to do so before we vote. Okay. All right, Mr. Wilson, you're here seeking a commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced in Caddo Parish in June 2009 for possession with intent to distribute cocaine. You received a 10-year sentence. Then in November of 2010, as a habitual offender, possession of cocaine, 2 counts, possession of a firearm or a concealed weapon by a convicted felon. You received 40 years. Each of those are running concurrently. So your total DOC sentence is 40 years. Now you're not eligible for parole or good time. So you have a full term date, which is November 12th, 2049. Is that information correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, your case this morning has been assigned to Mr. Pete Freeman, seated to my far right. Would you answer his questions?
Okay, Mr. Wilson, how old are you?
57, sir.
Okay. How long have you served on these charges?
I've been out for 14 years now. Over 14 years.
Okay, what is your education?
10th grade.
Have you received your GED?
Oh, sir.
Have you applied and tried? Have you tried to get your GED?
Oh, sir.
Okay.
Why not?
Sir, only thing I've been doing is working and going to church and trying to keep myself together in here. I still have tried to get my GED, but like I said, I've been working on the same job now. I've been going to work, coming back, going to church. I was going to NAAA. I got 4 certificates from there, and I went to the Navigators Bible training. I got a certificate from there.
It's no doubt you have a significant drug problem, correct?
Yes, sir.
How old were you when you started using drugs?
Sir, I was about, I believe, 16 or 17, sir.
Okay, and what was your drug of choice?
First it was marijuana, then I went to crack.
Have you ever received any treatment?
Yes, sir. I went to treatment on the street to step a couple of times. But what got me off drugs, sir, was my dad got sick and went to the hospital and needed somebody to take care of him. And I had my family come out. I was out there on the street, and they come ask me, would I be willing to spend time with my dad at the hospital to take care of him because he was blind and couldn't do anything for himself. But treatment did help, but to get me off drugs, I guess I would say it took my dad getting sick and him needing my help. So after I stayed up there with him a while, I got off drugs. And being off drugs for about maybe 6 months, being off drugs for about 6 months, I started working and thinking me being off drugs would I could do better. I would sell drugs and make some money. But it wasn't the right thing to do at all either. Excuse me. But being long concerned, I'm an AIDS offender, but I'm an AIDS offender because of the fact that I kept doing little things while I was on drugs, and they would give me 1 year, 2 years, and let me back on the street. I never had this much time in my life. But maybe, I don't mean in a bad way, maybe if I had times like this earlier in the years, I wouldn't have came back. But the hardest thing I had to do was, excuse me, the hardest thing I had to do was talk to my mom before she passed. And she was telling me that if I was out there, she would have to be in a assisted living home because I'm the only one of her kids was married. And that hurt me so bad to hear my mom say she needed me and I wasn't out there for. Right now, I have 2 grandkids that I haven't been able to do anything for. And I would love to try to get out there and do something for them, work and do something for them, show them a better thing.
Let's move on a little bit. What about the guy caught stealing chips at the casino?
Yes, sir. Sir, me and my nephew, and I had picked up a chip belonging to somebody else. Yes, sir.
They found drugs on you then too, didn't they?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the 7 drug charge.
Okay. How many children you have?
I have 2.
Do you have contact with them?
I have contact with my daughter since she moved to Texas to try to get a better job. She was saying if I was that if she had some help, she's a single parent, she wouldn't.
Okay.
She wouldn't.
You know, I look at the community attitude. Law enforcement is 100% against you getting out. Judges, DAs, sheriffs, chief, your family is on. There's no victims in the case. What classes have you taken? Have you taken any classes?
Sir, this time I've been working on the same job here for 9 years, and like I said, I go to church, and I only thing I had to was a navigator power training class and AANA.
Okay. You still go to AANA?
No, sir, just work every day. They get put back on there after they had the COVID lockdown here. Having COVID lockdown, and they stopped all the classes, so I didn't ever get put back on the list.
Yes, you have a high risk, you're medium custody. You've had 1 DB report, which is good. Good institutional record. Says you're a Strive member. Are you still a Strive member?
Oh, sir.
How's your medical health?
Well, I have right now, I have glaucoma. I had different glasses. I'm diabetic. I have high cholesterol. And they have him about six or seven different medications.
Okay.
Well,
you have you definitely have a terrible arrest record.
yes, sir, I know that. Yes, sir.
And not a good probation and parole record. And what you think has changed?
But like I said, you know, at first by me not doing a whole bunch of time, just doing a year here, a year there, and a few times I didn't mind going to jail because I wanted to get off the street and get off drugs. And that's the sad thing to say. But a few times I didn't mind going to jail to get off drugs because of the way I was living and I was hurting my family a whole lot. And I really got tired of that, so I didn't mind going, being locked up. But by them every time I go, I would get 1 year, a year and a half, 2 years, and be back out. It just didn't register, doing, how hard it was. But by me getting this 40-year sentence and doing 15 years, it may have been the hardest thing in my life. And like I said, only time I have ever held my grandkids is at a funeral.
Okay. I have no further questions, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Mrs. Jackson has questions.
Mr. Wilson. Okay, I'm going to ask you to take a minute and try to compose yourself, get yourself together. You can't answer any questions if you're overly emotional. So I want you to kind of take a deep breath. Mr. Wilson, when I look at, and I understand what you say about drug use and drug addiction, but a lot of arrests were for distribution of drugs, correct?
Yes, ma'am. That's after I got off drugs. I didn't really being stupid, thinking I could do something, I could make some money selling drugs after I got off, thinking that would be smart. It really wasn't. That was just, it's just dumb and using drugs. So.
Listen at me. Now you've talked about your own struggle with drug abuse and how that's messed up your life. And then you turn around and do the same thing to other people's lives by selling drugs to them. Now, why would you do that?
That's what I said. I messed up because that not by hurting myself using drugs. I see where I was hurting a lot of other people by selling drugs, and that's a bad mistake. I really hate that I made. It really hurt me to hurt other people too. So, it hurt me to. I realized I hurt other people by selling drugs to them. I know it was a real big mistake.
What's your job in the prisons?
Right here, I work at I distribute ice to the compound.
Okay, you deliver ice to the compound.
Take care of ice machines and deliver ice to the compound.
How long have you had that job?
Going on down here.
9 years. Okay. You think that job was more important than you getting some programs that would help you not go back to that lifestyle? Because you haven't taken very many programs at all. And you say it's because you were working, but you could have chosen, instead of doing that job, you could have chosen to take some programs that would help you for today's hearing, but more importantly, to help you go forward. You haven't shown us a lot of effort on your part to address your problem. So tell us why you just weren't interested in taking kind of programs that you need to help you be successful.
When I went to, I thought that AANA would be something that I really need. So when I like I said, I was in there for a little while. I got 4 certificates out there. Then I took about I was navigator training.
But Mr. Wilson, you say you had a serious drug problem, and there are a lot of really good drug programs within the Department of Corrections. When's the last time you did NA and AA?
It's when right before the COVID lockdown.
Okay, and how long had you been in AA and NA before COVID?
Ma'am?
How long did you do AA and NA?
About a year and something.
Okay. Warden, is there anything you can tell us about Mr. Wilson?
And the only thing I can say is, probably, what his record reflect. He has a good disciplinary record. He's only had that one write-up since we've had him. He's been in the same job for the past 9 years, so that kind of shows that he will keep a job if given an opportunity. He was a Strive member, but he lost that due to his lack of programming. The only concern that I'll have with him is like everyone else, that he hasn't taken the opportunity to take advantage of any of the programming that we have to offer. So I explained that to him when I met with him, and I kind of think guys on the board see the same thing.
Thank you, Warren. I appreciate your input. That's all I have, Mrs. Johnson.
Mr. Wilson, we'd like to hear from Mr. John Phelps, your cousin. Mr. Phelps.
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, as you've stated, Larry Wilson is my cousin. Known him all of his life. And there was a time many years ago when his family basically stayed with my family. So it was just a heck of a number of us all in one house. But it was for survival. And I was one of the older ones, and perhaps I made better decisions. I was fortunate enough to attend college and get a degree. Looking back, I certainly have some misgivings. Perhaps I should have been a more positive verbal impact on some of the others, to which Larry is one of them. Perhaps I could have done better to be a better example, perhaps. But what I will tell you is, but for the grace of God, perhaps I would have made wrong decisions and wrong turns. And I have been one that I try to live with the philosophy that we are where we are in life because of the decisions that we make. Far too often, we don't make good decisions. Sometimes we fall. The measure of a person is not whether or not you fall or get knocked down, but it's whether or not you get up and move forward. To have the courage to continue to get up and to move forward. I will tell you that Larry Wilson is a good person. You guys know far better than I the full extent of whatever criminal activities that he has been a part of or in his lifetime. And I am sure he would love a do-over. I know he would. Who wouldn't want a do-over? Regardless of whatever success we may have in life, we still may want a do-over because we want to do better. The last time I saw Larry was at a funeral. And I recall his mother, who was just one of my favorite people in the whole world. I recall her once saying, and in Larry's presence, that no one was to come to her funeral in handcuffs. But sure enough, it happened. Mistakes are made. And as I mentioned earlier, the last time I saw Larry was at one of the relatives' funeral. I think it was his sister's. And his granddaughter came up to him and he looked down at her. And he said to her, "Do you know who I am?" The little girl said, "You're grandpa. You're my grandfather." Then she asked him, "When are you coming home?" At that juncture, we both cried. And I looked at Larry and he said to me, "Gosh, you're looking more and more like my dad." And then he said, "Everybody's dying. Everybody is dying. The family has been diminished greatly. I would love for the board to extend some leniency, sympathy, mercy, justice, and please find a way that you guys can look into this man and know that in spite of his past, in spite of being given other opportunities, just one more time, you know, when
Sir,
Jesus,
Mr. Phelps, can you wrap it up for us, sir?
yes, and thank you. I just, again, please take these things into consideration. It's easy for me to sit here and say he is not a threat to society, and I truly believe that. And I'd love for him to have another opportunity. And thank you guys so much for allowing me this opportunity. Thank you so much. Any consideration is deeply, deeply appreciated. Thank you. And may
Yes,
God
sir.
bless us all equally.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. Mr. Wilson, I want you to know we do have a letter in the record from your brother, Michael Wilson, who's also joined us by Zoom. Is there something, Mr. Wilson, you'd like to say to us before we go?
I'm really sorry for a lot of pain and suffering that I caused a lot of people, especially by getting off drugs and issuing them to other folks. Like I said, one ain't no better than the other. But I pray and hope that I get a chance to get out there and be a grandfather to my grandkids. Some of them to hear my brother and my sister talk about the things they do for their grandkids, and I can't do anything for mine. It hurt me so bad. I just want to tell you, I didn't live again. We're not living again in 60 years old anymore. And I just pray that y'all give me a chance to get out there and do some things for my grandkids to live. I have a job, I have a home, I have family that love me. You know, I hurt them real bad. I'm so sorry.
Yes, sir, Mr. Wilson. Thank you. Is board prepared to vote?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Mr. Wilson, you do have a good disciplinary record, but you need some more programs. Need lots of programs. Get set up, take some classes. You have a terrible supervision record, terrible arrest record. My vote today is to deny, but to recommend that you get into some programming that'll help.
Mrs. Jackson?
Mr. Wilson, I really wish I could have granted you today. You know, 14 years is a long time, but I'm disappointed that you didn't take advantage of that time to take some programs that would help you. And I just don't think right now that you have the tools necessary to get out there and be successful. You haven't put in a lot of time trying to work on your issues. So my vote today is going to be to deny as well, lack of programming and your past criminal history. I'm going to encourage you to get with the warden and get with, you know, the staff and get in some programs. And then when you apply again, if we see that you worked at the things that you need to work on, then you'll probably get a different outcome. But today my vote is to deny.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Wilson, you need to talk to Warden Turner about Act 122. You'll be eligible for parole in 4 or 5 years, but you got some work to do. My vote is the same for the same reasons as Mrs. Jackson and Mr. Freeman.
Mr. Mirabella?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Wilson, as Judge Jackson pointed out, I really would like to grant today, but I can't. You're a high risk. The reason you're a high risk is probably because of your criminal history, because of your drug use. You can't change that, but you can change that with programs. And you can change that hard work, a little more hard work while you're in prison. Primarily things that will benefit you, which are those programs. So I would encourage you to get into some programs, work on your substance abuse, have a good plan. You've got a great supporting family behind you. You're just not ready yet. Good luck to you.
Mr. Wilson, so you received 4 votes to deny your application for clemency. So this morning that application has been denied. You've heard the words of encouragement from everybody. Get involved in some programs, reapply. You got some work to do. Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
In turn, I think that concludes our business at your facility. We're going to adjourn. It's 9:59 a.m. Thanks for accommodating us this morning.
Thank you. Have a nice day.